The frozen pipe burst at 2 in the morning, spraying frigid water across the basement ceiling like a deranged sprinkler system, while Owen Parker scrambled to find the main water shut-off valve. His 8-year-old daughter Emma stood at the top of the stairs in her unicorn pajamas, clutching her stuffed penguin with wide, worried eyes. "Daddy, are we going to drown?" Owen forced a smile through chattering teeth as he waded through ankle-deep water. "Not today, pumpkin." "Go back to bed, okay? Daddy's handling it." Emma hesitated, her small face pinched with concern. "But you look scared." "I'm not scared," Owen lied, finally locating the valve and giving it a forceful twist, the violent spraying slowed to a drip. "Just cold and wet. Everything's fine." Everything was not fine. The basement of their small rental house was flooded, most of his plumbing tools were submerged, and today was a school day for Emma and a work day for him. Single fatherhood was a constant balancing act that felt like juggling flaming chainsaws while riding a unicycle on a tightrope. Over a shark tank, during a hurricane. After getting Emma back to bed with promises that the house wasn't going to float away, Owen began the miserable task of damage control. He set up their ancient shop vac, grabbed every towel they owned, and started extracting water while checking his phone for emergency plumbers, none of whom would come out at this hour, without charging rates that would devastate what little remained of his savings. 3 hours later, as dawn's gray light seeped through the tiny basement windows, Owen sat on the stairs, exhausted. The basement was still a disaster, but at least the standing water was mostly gone. He'd have to finish the job himself before heading to his contracting job. There would be no sleep tonight. He rubbed his face, feeling the rough stubble against his calloused palms, and allowed himself exactly 15 seconds of despair before pushing himself to his feet. By 7, Emma was dressed for school with her lunch packed, sitting at their small kitchen table eating cereal while Owen made coffee strong enough to stand a spoon in. His eyelids felt like sandpaper. "Dad, you look like a zombie," Emma announced through a mouthful of Cheerios. "Thanks, kiddo." "That's exactly the look I was going for," Owen replied, ruffling her hair. "Finish up. Bus comes in 10 minutes. After dropping Emma at the bus stop, Owen called his boss. Mike Sanders was a good guy who had given Owen flexible hours when Emma was sick or had school events, but even Mike's patience had limits. "Hey, Mike, pipe burst in my basement last night. I've been dealing with it since 2 a.m. I need to get it fixed before more damage happens." "I can come in after, Jesus, Owen. That's rough. Look, you've been pulling double shifts for weeks. Take care of your house. We can manage today." "I can't afford to lose the hours, Mike." The admission tasted bitter. There was a pause. "Tell you what, Mrs. Joe Hansen at 415 Maple called about frozen pipes in her rental property. Tenant says they're not working. You fix that, I'll pay you your regular hours and you can deal with your own mess after. You're a lifesaver. I'll head over there now." Owen gathered his tools, threw on his work jacket, and headed to his decade-old pickup truck. The heater took 5 minutes to kick in, and even then it only worked at half capacity. He navigated through the January morning, the streets still dusted with snow from yesterday's storm, mentally calculating how much the pipe repair at his own place would cost. The math wasn't pretty. 415 Maple turned out to be a modest townhouse on the better side of town. Nothing fancy, but definitely nicer than Owen's rental. He parked out front, grabbed his toolbox, and trudged to the door, wondering what kind of tenant he'd encounter. Probably some college kid who had no idea how to prevent pipes from freezing. When the door opened, Owen nearly dropped his toolbox. The woman standing there was definitely not a college kid. She appeared to be in her early 30s, with rich chestnut hair cascading over the shoulders of a simple cream sweater that probably cost more than Owen's monthly rent. Her eyes were a startling shade of green, and they widened slightly at the sight of him standing there in his worn work clothes, still bearing traces of his early morning flood battle. "You must be the plumber," she said, her voice carrying a slight accent he couldn't place. Owen Parker. Sanders contracting sent me about your frozen pipes. He shifted awkwardly, suddenly aware of how disheveled he must look. Natalia James. She stepped back, gesturing him inside. Please come in. I'm afraid I'm not very knowledgeable about these things. The interior was sparsely but tastefully furnished, as if someone had hired a decorator but hadn't quite finished. A laptop sat open on the dining table, surrounded by papers. Owen noticed there were no personal photos anywhere. The kitchen sink isn't running, and the bathroom upstairs has only a trickle, Natalia explained, leading him through the house. I tried turning up the heat, but it hasn't helped. Owen nodded, setting his toolbox down. This cold snap's caught a lot of people off guard. Let me take a look. As he worked, checking exterior walls and following pipes into the crawl space beneath the house, Natalia hovered nearby, asking intelligent questions. There was something unusual about her presence, a sense of careful observation, as if she were studying him rather than the plumbing problem. You look like you haven't slept, she remarked as he emerged from beneath the sink, wiping his hands on a rag. Owen managed a tired smile. That obvious, huh? Had my own pipe emergency at 2 this morning. Basement's a swimming pool, her eyebrows rose. And you're here fixing my pipes instead. That seems backward. Bills don't pay themselves, he said simply, then immediately regretted the candid admission. Found your problem. Pipe along the north wall is frozen. Not burst yet, thankfully. I can thaw it out, but you'll need better insulation there to prevent it happening again. As Owen worked, carefully applying controlled heat to thaw the frozen section, Natalia brought him a mug of coffee. Cream or sugar? Black is fine, thanks. He accepted the mug gratefully, surprised by the rich aroma. This wasn't the bargain brand coffee he bought on sale. Your own home, is it badly damaged? She asked, leaning against the counter with her own mug. Owen took a long sip before answering. Nothing I can't fix. Just need the time. And you have children? She gestured toward a small smudge of what appeared to be purple glitter on his jacket sleeve. Owen smiled despite his exhaustion. One daughter, Emma, she's 8, loves art projects. That explains the glitter. It's quite persistent, isn't it? There was a warmth in her smile that reached her eyes, like a radioactive substance, half-life of forever. They shared a laugh, and Owen found himself unexpectedly comfortable in her presence. Usually, working in the homes of people with obvious money made him feel self-conscious of his worn jeans and calloused hands. By the time Owen finished the job, water was flowing properly throughout the house. He explained to Natalia how to prevent future freezing and wrote up the invoice. Thank you for coming so quickly, she said, taking the invoice. Especially given your own situation. Just doing my job, Miss James. Natalia, please. She seemed about to say something else, but stopped herself. Will you be able to fix your own pipes today? Owen rubbed the back of his neck. That's the plan. Might be a late night. She nodded, studying him with those remarkable green eyes. Well, I won't keep you then. I appreciate your help. As Owen drove away, he glanced in his rearview mirror and saw Natalia still standing in the doorway, watching him go. Something about her lingered in his thoughts as he headed to the hardware store for supplies for his own repairs. The rest of the day passed in a blur of exhaustion. After picking up Emma from school, Owen made her dinner, helped with homework, and tried to work on the basement while she watched TV. By 9 o'clock, with Emma tucked in bed, he was still elbow-deep in pipe repairs, fighting to keep his eyes open. The knock at the front door startled him. No one visited them, especially not at this hour. He climbed the basement stairs, wiping his hands on his already filthy jeans, and opened the door to find Natalia James standing on his porch, holding a large toolbox and what appeared to be a bag of takeout food. Miss James. Owen blinked, convinced his exhaustion was causing hallucinations. I thought you might need some help, she said. And dinner, you probably haven't eaten. Owen stared, uncomprehending. How did you know where I live? Your company information was on the invoice, she explained, looking slightly embarrassed. I hope I'm not overstepping. I kept thinking about you trying to fix your own disaster after helping me with mine. Before Owen could formulate a response, Emma's voice came from behind him. Daddy, who's that? Owen turned to find his daughter standing in the hallway in her pajamas. This is Miss James. I fixed her pipes today. Emma gave Natalia a critical look. Did your house get flooded too? Natalia smiled. No, I was lucky. Your dad prevented that from happening. And now I'm here to help him with your house. Are you a plumber too? Emma asked dubiously, eyeing Natalia's clearly expensive boots and coat. No, Natalia admitted with a laugh, but I can hold a flashlight and hand over tools, and I brought dinner. Emma's face brightened at the mention of food. We had macaroni and cheese, again. Emma, Owen admonished gently. Well, I brought Thai food, Natalia said. If that's okay, Owen knew he should politely decline. This woman was essentially a stranger, a client, and there was something surreal about her appearance at his door. But the genuine concern in her eyes, combined with his bone-deep exhaustion, and Emma's excited expression at the prospect of something other than his limited cooking repertoire, weakened his resistance. You really don't have to do this, he said quietly. I know. Natalia held his gaze. I want to. Please let me help. The sincerity in her voice decided him. Owen stepped back, opening the door wider. Then I guess you'd better come in. Over Thai food that Emma declared weird but good, Owen learned that Natalia had only recently moved to town. She was evasive about her work, saying only that she was in finance and could do most of her job remotely. There was something guarded about her, as if she was carefully editing her responses. After dinner, Emma insisted on showing Natalia her room and artwork before Owen could redirect her to bed. To his surprise, Natalia seemed genuinely interested, asking thoughtful questions about Emma's drawings and listening intently to her 8-year-old explanations. When Emma was finally settled back in bed, Owen and Natalia descended to the basement. The damage looked even worse through a fresh pair of eyes. I'm so sorry, Natalia said, surveying the soggy drywall and warped wood. This is a disaster. It's fixable, Owen replied with more confidence than he felt. Just time-consuming. And expensive, he added under his breath. For the next few hours, Natalia proved surprisingly helpful. She was a quick learner, anticipating which tools he needed and asking smart questions. Her presence made the tedious work almost pleasant, and Owen found himself sharing stories about Emma, about his late wife Lisa, who had died of cancer when Emma was just 4, about his struggle to balance work and parenting. In turn, Natalia revealed small pieces of herself. She had traveled extensively for work. She had no family nearby. She played the cello. Each fact seemed carefully offered, like individual puzzle pieces without the connecting edges. By midnight, they had made significant progress. The broken pipe was repaired, and they had begun removing damaged materials. We should stop, Owen said, noticing Natalia stifling a yawn. You've already done way more than anyone would expect. I've barely made a dent in repaying you, she said, repaying me for doing my job. Natalia looked away, suddenly seeming uncomfortable. For being kind, for treating me like a normal person, Owen frowned, confused, as opposed to. Never mind, she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. It's late, I should go. At the door, she hesitated. Would it be presumptuous to ask if I could come back tomorrow, to help finish? Owen should have said no. This arrangement was unusual enough already, but something in her expression, a hint of loneliness that resonated with his own, made him nod. If you really want to, but I can't pay you. I don't want payment, Owen, just company, perhaps. With that enigmatic statement, she disappeared into the night. The next day brought a text from an unknown number. What time should I come by, Natalia? Owen stared at his phone, still half convinced yesterday had been some exhaustion-induced dream. He had given her his number to contact him if she had any more plumbing issues, but hadn't expected her to use it for this. After his shift at work and picking up Emma from school, Owen replied with his address and anytime after 6. He spent the drive home trying to understand why this elegant, obviously well-off woman would want to spend her evening helping him repair flood damage. Natalia arrived promptly at 6, with more takeout Italian this time and work clothes that still somehow looked fashionable. Emma greeted her like an old friend, immediately pulling her into a conversation about school and the mean girl Mackenzie, who had said Emma's homemade Valentine box wasn't as good as her store-bought one. "Well," Natalia said thoughtfully, "I think homemade things have more heart. Anyone can buy something, but making it yourself puts a piece of your spirit into it." Emma beamed. "That's what Daddy always says." Owen caught Natalia's eye over Emma's head and mouthed, "Thank you." She smiled back, a genuine smile that transformed her face and stirred something in Owen's chest that had been dormant for a very long time. Over the next week, a pattern emerged. Natalia would come by in the evenings, bringing food and helping with the basement repairs. She never arrived empty-handed. Sometimes it was dinner, other times materials he needed for the repairs that mysteriously appeared without discussion of cost. Owen felt uncomfortable about this generosity, but found his protests gently deflected. More surprisingly, Natalia began helping Emma with her homework, revealing a patience and knowledge that impressed Owen. She spoke French fluently, knew calculus that made Owen's head spin, and could explain historical events in ways that captivated his daughter. "Where did you learn all this stuff?" he asked one evening as they worked side by side, hanging new drywall. Natalia shrugged, not meeting his eyes. "I had a rather intensive education, like private schools. Something like that." She changed the subject quickly. "Hand me that level, would you?" As the days passed, Owen found himself looking forward to her arrival each evening. Emma would rush to the door when she heard Natalia's car, and even their ancient cat, Milo, normally suspicious of strangers, had taken to curling up in Natalia's lap when they took breaks. What puzzled Owen was why someone like Natalia would choose to spend her evenings in his modest home, doing manual labor and eating takeout, when she clearly had the means for a much more luxurious lifestyle. The few times he tried to broach the subject, she deflected with such skill that he often didn't realize it until later. 10 days after their first meeting, the basement was finally restored. They stood side by side, surveying their work with satisfaction. "We make a good team," Natalia said softly. "We do," Owen agreed, turning to face her. "Natalia, I don't know how to thank you. This would have taken me weeks on my own. You don't need to thank me. I've enjoyed it." She looked around the basement, then back at him. "I suppose you won't need my help anymore." The thought created an unexpected hollow feeling in his chest. "Well, the basement's done, but the house has about 1,000,000 other things that need fixing. Is that an invitation?" There was a hopeful note in her voice that made his heart beat faster. "If you want it to be, though I can't imagine why you'd want to keep spending your free time doing home repairs with me." Natalia stepped closer, her green eyes serious. "Can't you?" The air between them seemed to change, charged with something new. Owen was acutely aware of her proximity, of the faint scent of her perfume, of the way her eyes seemed to ask a question he wasn't sure he could answer. The moment was broken by Emma calling from upstairs. "Dad, Natalia, I finished my science project. Come see." The spell disturbed, but not broken, they headed upstairs. As Emma proudly displayed her solar system model, Owen watched Natalia's animated interaction with his daughter and felt something shift inside him, a realization that somehow, in just a short time, this mysterious woman had become important to both of them. Later, as Owen walked Natalia to her car, snow began to fall in large, lazy flakes. "Will you come to dinner tomorrow?" he asked impulsively. "Not to work, just dinner, I'll cook." Natalia's smile was like sunrise. "I'd love that." The next evening, Owen cooked his specialty, the only dish besides basic pasta that he had mastered, grilled steaks, with roasted potatoes and vegetables. He'd spent more than he should have on good cuts of meat and a bottle of wine that the guy at the store had assured him was decent. Emma had insisted on making place cards and had spent an hour deciding where everyone should sit. She'd also changed clothes 3 times before settling on her fancy dress, a hand-me-down from a cousin that she usually refused to wear because it was too itchy. When Natalia arrived, she brought flowers for Emma and a bottle of wine that Owen suspected cost more than his entire meal. But what struck him most was how she fit into their small home, bringing a warmth that had nothing to do with her evident wealth and everything to do with who she was. After dinner, with Emma reluctantly in bed, Owen and Natalia sat on the couch, wine glasses in hand. The distance between them seemed both vast and infinitesimal. "You're a wonderful father," Natalia said softly. "Emma is lucky." Owen shook his head. "I'm the lucky one." "She makes it easy to be a good dad." He paused, swirling the wine in his glass. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Why are you here, really?" He met her eyes directly. "You could be anywhere, doing anything. Instead, you've spent 2 weeks helping me fix a flooded basement and hanging out with an 8-year-old. It doesn't make sense." Natalia was quiet for so long that Owen thought she might not answer. "I'm not who you think I am," she finally said. "Who do I think you are?" "Someone normal. Someone who rents a modest townhouse and has normal problems like frozen pipes." She set her wine glass down. "The truth is, I own the building you repaired, and several others. I was just staying there temporarily while looking at properties in the area." Owen frowned. "You're a landlord." She hesitated. "I run a financial group, Natalia James Investments. We manage about $30 billion in assets." Owen stared at her, trying to process this information. "You're rich," she supplied. "Extremely rich by most standards. Then why were you living in that townhouse? Why did you pretend to be a tenant?" "I wasn't pretending exactly. I do own it, and I was staying there." She looked down at her hands. "I travel constantly, moving between our offices in New York, London, Singapore. I have homes I rarely see, staff who know my preferences better than I do myself. What I don't have is—" "What?" Owen prompted when she trailed off. "This." She gestured around his small living room. "Authenticity. Connection. A place where I'm just Natalia, not NJI's CEO or the James heiress, or whatever label the business magazines have assigned me this month." Owen tried to reconcile this new information with the woman he'd come to know, the woman who patiently taught Emma how to measure twice before cutting, who laughed genuinely when they accidentally sprayed each other with the sink hose, who seemed so at ease in his simple home. "When you came to fix the pipes," Natalia continued, "you treated me like a person, not a balance sheet. You were kind, competent, honest. Then when I heard about your own situation, I just wanted to help. But when I got here, I found something I've been missing for a very long time." "A flooded basement," Owen quipped, trying to process her revelation. She smiled. "A real home. You and Emma, you're real. What you have here is worth more than anything I own." Owen ran a hand through his hair. "I don't know what to say. Finding out the woman I've been developing feelings for is secretly a billionaire is not something I was prepared for tonight." Natalia's eyes widened. "You have feelings for me?" "That's what you focused on in that sentence." Owen laughed, a slightly hysterical edge to it. "Yes, Natalia, I have feelings for you, but now I'm wondering if I even know who you are. You know the real me better than most people who have known me for years," she said earnestly, moving closer to him on the couch. "The money, the company, that's what I have, not who I am." "And who are you?" Owen asked softly. "Someone who's falling in love with a man who fixes pipes and makes his daughter Valentine boxes from scratch and treats everyone with the same respect regardless of their bank account." Her voice trembled slightly. "Someone who's terrified that now that you know the truth, you'll see me differently." Owen reached out, taking her hand. It was soft compared to his calloused fingers, but strong. "I am seeing you differently," he admitted. "I'm trying to put together the woman who helped me hang drywall with someone who manages billions of dollars." Natalia's face fell. But, he continued, squeezing her hand, I'm realizing that all the things that made me fall for you, your kindness, your intelligence, how amazing you are with Emma, none of that has changed. You're falling for me, she whispered. Apparently I have a thing for billionaires who bring me Thai food and know how to use a power drill, he said with a small smile, though it's kind of intimidating. What is? All of it. Your world is so different from mine. Then let me show you that it doesn't have to be, Natalia said. The money doesn't define me any more than your job defines you. I don't know. Owen hesitated. I can't offer you anything close to what you're used to. I'm a single dad with a mortgage, school tuition payments, and a truck that's one bad day away from the junkyard. You've offered me something priceless already, Natalia said, her eyes shining. Authenticity, a place where I can just be me. Before Owen could respond, she leaned forward and kissed him softly. It was a question as much as a gesture, and Owen found his answer in the warmth that spread through him. He returned the kiss, his hand gently cradling her face. When they finally separated, Natalia rested her forehead against his. I should have told you sooner. Maybe, Owen conceded. But I understand why you didn't. Their relationship progressed slowly over the following months. Natalia continued to be a regular presence in their home, though now Owen understood why she sometimes needed to take urgent calls in another room or disappear for a few days for meetings. She never flaunted her wealth around them, though occasionally her background revealed itself in subtle ways, her automatic knowledge of fine wines, her casual mention of having met various world leaders, the way she could book impossible to get reservations with a simple phone call. For Emma, the revelation that Natalia was super rich, Owen had eventually explained it in age-appropriate terms, was less important than the fact that she always kept her promises to attend Emma's school plays and remembered which books in the series Emma was currently reading. As spring blossomed, Owen and Natalia's relationship deepened. They had their challenges: her demanding travel schedule, his occasional discomfort with the disparity in their financial situations, the complexity of building a relationship while parenting an increasingly perceptive 8-year-old. But they faced each obstacle with honesty and the same partnership that had begun in a flooded basement. One evening in May, as they sat on the porch swing watching Emma ride her bike up and down the sidewalk, Natalia broke a comfortable silence. I've been thinking about making some changes, she said. Owen felt a spike of anxiety. In his experience, changes rarely meant good news. What kind of changes? Professional ones, mostly. I've been training my COO to take over more of the day-to-day operations. I'm considering stepping back from some of my responsibilities. Because of us? Owen asked carefully. Because of me, Natalia corrected. Being with you and Emma has made me realize how much of my life I've spent working, building wealth that I rarely enjoy. I want more time for the things that matter. And we matter. Owen couldn't keep the note of vulnerability from his voice. Natalia turned to face him fully. More than anything, I love you, Owen Parker. I love your daughter. I love this life we're building. Owen pulled her close, overwhelmed by the certainty in her voice. I love you too, but I don't want you giving up your career for us. Not giving up, recalibrating, she nestled against him. I've spent 15 years building a financial empire. I think I've earned the right to delegate more and enjoy life. As long as you're sure. I've never been more sure of anything, she said, watching Emma execute a wobbly turn on her bike. Well, almost anything. 6 months later, Owen stood in his kitchen, now remodeled. Though he had insisted on doing much of the work himself, despite Natalia's offers to hire contractors, watching Emma and Natalia make Christmas cookies. Flour dusted both their faces, and they were engaged in a serious debate about whether the gingerbread people needed buttons or boadies. Boadies are cooler, Emma insisted, carefully placing a small triangle of dough. A compelling argument, Natalia agreed solemnly. But consider the fashion versatility of buttons. Owen smiled, taking in the scene. So much had changed in the past year. Natalia had indeed restructured her work life, maintaining her position but delegating enough that she could be based locally most of the time. She still owned her various properties around the world, but had purchased a house just a few blocks from Owen's close enough for convenience, but maintaining separate spaces while their relationship evolved. Tonight was special, though. After the cookies were baked and Emma was in bed, Owen had plans. The small velvet box in his pocket felt simultaneously weightless and impossibly heavy. Later, as they sat beside the Christmas tree with its mismatched ornaments, many handmade by Emma, Owen took Natalia's hand. "You know, a year ago my pipes burst, and I thought it was the worst night of my life," he began. "And now," Natalia prompted, her eyes reflecting the colored lights from the tree, "now I think it might have been the best." Owen shifted to face her. "Because it led me to you, to us." He reached into his pocket and withdrew the box. Natalia's eyes widened. "I know we come from different worlds," Owen continued. "You manage billions, I manage a construction crew. You have houses around the globe, I have a mortgage I'll be paying until I'm 80. But somehow, when we're together, none of that matters." He opened the box, revealing a ring not the largest diamond he could afford, which would have been modest by her standards, but a unique vintage design that reminded him of her. Elegant, distinctive with hidden depths. "Natalia James, will you marry me? Will you build a life with Emma and me? It might not be the most luxurious life you could have, but I promise it will be authentic, real, filled with love." Tears spilled down Natalia's cheeks as she nodded. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, 1,000 times." As he slipped the ring onto her finger, Owen was struck by the journey that had brought them here from frozen pipes to a future neither of them could have imagined a year ago. "It fits perfectly," Natalia said, admiring the ring through her tears. "Like you in our lives," Owen replied, drawing her close. Their kiss was a promise not of perfection, but of partnership. Of building something together that was stronger than either of them alone. A noise from the hallway made them break apart. Emma stood there in her pajamas, eyes wide as she took in the scene. "Did you ask her?" she demanded of Owen. "Did she say yes? You knew?" Natalia asked, surprised. "Duh, Dad needed help picking the ring." Emma rolled her eyes with all the dramatic flair of an 8-year-old. "Does this mean you're going to be my mom now?" Natalia opened her arms and Emma ran into them. "It means I'll be your Natalia," she said, holding the girl close. "I would never try to replace your mom, but I will love you forever if that's okay with you." Emma considered this seriously. "That's okay, but you have to promise not to make Dad wear those fancy, uncomfortable shoes to the wedding." Owen laughed. "See, already looking out for me." As they sat together, the three of them forming a new kind of family, Owen marveled at how a simple broken pipe had led to his broken heart being mended. Sometimes the most unexpected disasters could lead to the greatest blessings. If you were brave enough to open the door when opportunity knocked, even at 2 in the morning during a winter storm.